Okay. All right. Wow. We are live, I think. At least we are audio live. Now we're
Cool.
video live. Nice. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, everyone who's watching us on Twitch, welcome. We are interviewing Jason Rosenstock today. You probably see him. He's on the screen right now. He's the one who's waving. He's the one who's not wearing the cloak. But Jason is is an environment artist, concept artist, all around artist, fantastic designer, and everyone here probably knows of him at least via his work, because he's the artist responsible for everything cool looking about CodeSpells. I think everything that you think of as CodeSpellsy, I think that adjective is something that he defined through his work, basically. So anyway, Jason, thank you for being here. It's like really cool to have you on stream. So.
It's awesome to be here and talk about CodeSpells because it's my favorite project.
Is your favorite? All right. well,
I mean, it's a special game.
Yeah. Well, so you worked on a lot of projects though. So why do you feel like I don't know, why do you feel like CodeSpells is the special one?
Well, like I've noticed now, I've worked on a lot of games. So when I was younger, I worked in pen and paper RPGs. That's sort of where I started in the games industry. And I did a book in a fantasy world it was called Violet Dawn. And it was like this dark, weird alien fantasy world. And we did like a monster book for D&D and all this stuff. And it was like just so much fun to build this world out. And it didn't sell very much at all, but it had this kind of like cult following, which meant like to me, like there was something about it that like resonated with people. They hadn't seen anything like it before they were into it. And like, then after that, I was like, well, that's kind of all I want to work on are projects like that. And when you work in the video game industry, most of the time you don't have a choice about what you're working on. So getting to work on a game that you knew would be like totally original and interesting, and you had I had like 100% control over the aesthetics of it.
Yeah.
Thank you to you guys.
You did, I remember.
And that, like, just that feeling of like, this is, this idea fundamentally has a resonance to it. Like people understand what you mean when you explain CodeSpells because it just naturally makes sense. And I think that means that it's tied to something in reality. Like when we talk to people, we use language and we cast spells on people by saying certain things that sort of elicits a certain response or behavior. And that's like communication in the world just generally. And then abstracting it to these spells that you're casting in computer language, it's just a thread that to me just makes so much sense to so many people. And it afterwards I see echoes of it, and I'm not boasting, but I see echoes of CodeSpells in other games. And I for a fact know that when I work at a big studio, that people have played CodeSpells. Like people in the industry have played CodeSpells because they also saw it as like, oh, it's so cool, you're a wizard and you use code. Like it makes perfect sense to them. Right. And most people in video games are, coders. So they're fascinated by it. And so I think it's cool. Like I think it has had an impact, even though we often think of it as this like personal project. I think it has a resonance in the world that is really interesting. And I think it's clear that as you guys keep making it, like people still want it.
Right.
So to me, that's why it's my favorite. It's like at Avalanche, I worked on Just Cause 4, and then I got to art direct the DLC for Just Cause 4, which was the demons in this like purple alien world, which obviously I went back to the aesthetics of CodeSpells a little bit and the aesthetics of all the other games I had worked on. And I found after that, I was seeing echoes of it everywhere. This like fluorescent purple lighting, these like organic plant-like fungus demons. Like it started popping up in pop culture everywhere. Like literally one day at lunch, we went to Macy's and they had a display of purple plants crawling all over things in Macy's, and we were like, "We're making this down the street. Like this is crazy." Or the idea. I remember I saw there was a movie, The Color Out of Space, that just came. It was a horror movie with Nicolas Cage, and it's like so exactly like the thing that was made, and you realize like there's certain ideas that catch, and you don't know, you're not responsible for them, you get them, like you catch them like a cold. I don't want to say like a virus but it is kind of like
Too
a
soon.
virus. Like you catch this weird thing and it somehow just like you make something and then somebody else makes something and you start to connect it, and it's just like those are the coolest projects you can work on, and I think CodeSpells is one of them. It's a very long answer, but yeah.